We're here with Bob Bartell.
Bartell.
Let's start over again.
Okay.
We're here with Mr. Bob Bartell at Roseman High School, and he's preparing to retire after 32 years.
32 years in Southern Kern Unified School District. That's correct. Started in 1988.
And how many different jobs have you done during that time?
Well, when I started, I asked Dr. Shear, who hired me, I said, where do you want me to be? And he said, Mr. Bartell, we don't have any male 6th grade teachers, so would you consider going into 6th grade? And I said, sure. So I got my credential for that, went to Tropico, taught 6 years there, and then there was an opening in alternative education, independent study. So I went there for a few more years, and then I had one of the principals, Clovis Johnson, kept bothering me. He says, you need to come over here to Rare Earth and teach math. And I said, oh, Rare Earth kids, they're kind of crazy kids. They're hard to work with. And he says, you'll love them. And I have loved them. I've been here for 20 years at Rare Earth. These kids just need a lot of help, and we've got a lot of math equations done over the years.
I'll bet.
And I've enjoyed that, and it's what I'm going to miss the most. In fact, we're doing our distance learning, and I was checking on a student, and I saw that she had done a problem 22 times wrong, and I knew how easy it would be if I just had her in my classroom. Instead, I just pick up the phone and said, you need to do it this way. It was the slope and stuff. So those are the moments, of course, that I'm going to miss. But it's been a good run out here at Southern Kern Unified School District. I was going to count down how many administrators I'd worked with, but I started with Dwayne Campstra, and now I'm ending with Mr. Torres, who's a wonderful man. So I've had a lot of great administrators over the years, and I've enjoyed my time here.
And so you've had primarily smaller class sizes, which allowed you more one-on-one, I would guess.
That is correct, except for this last year. This last year we eliminated one of the teachers for our financial issues that we have in our district. But we've had 4 teachers, so now we had 3 teachers, and so we had some classroom sizes up to almost 30. And that was difficult because many of them were coming to the school failing just about all their classes in the previous semester. So yeah, and there was a reason why some of them were not passing, because they really didn't want to do the work.
Right.
Motivating is a big issue, obviously.
Sure.
But I'm really proud of our graduates this year. Many of them in quarantine. I follow them pretty much from 6 o'clock in the morning till 11 o'clock at night, and I can see what they're up to, and many of them that weren't doing too much work during the classroom were doing great, and many of them it's because the mom said, I knew where they were.
Yeah, sure.
Kept an eye on them and wanted them to graduate.
Sure. Is there any common denominator with the Rare Earth students that brings them into Rare Earth?
That's a good question. I've had some extremely bright kids who have admitted to me that they're just lazy. I dig into the cube files all the time. Cube files is where you see what they've done since they've been in kindergarten. Oh yeah. And I like to check that 5th and 6th grade year and see how their grades were. And I have some students that had straight A's, and then they get into, I guess, adolescence and middle school. Yeah. Junior high and high school, their grades start slipping, and I like to encourage students who are having trouble that they just need a little more help and a little more time to get things done. Yeah. And then we do have some students that just quite frankly struggle. You see that they have failed class after class, and if it wasn't for summer school, they wouldn't have been able to move into the next year. Sure. And you look at their STAR tests or now their CASP tests, and they're really low. I know that many students don't have much of a motivation to do well on those tests, so I kind of take them with a grain of salt. Right. But at least when they're younger, I know that they're really trying to please their teacher, they're trying to do their best, and if they're still struggling, that's a student you're just going to have to spend more time working with. Sure. And I think we've had a great staff here this year at Rare Earth. We've got students that are needy, and we've got teachers that are willing to take the time and help encourage them.
Sure.
And then help them do the work.
Right.
Some of the work too that we've been ratcheting up from year to year. I mean, when I started here at this job at Rare Earth, one of the reasons why Mr. Clovis Johnson asked me to come here is that in 2004 they were going to have the Algebra 1 requirement. Before that, algebra was not a required subject to pass.
Really?
And I'm gonna tell you, that was a very hard thing to get some of these students through algebra, and it still is.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, algebra, different language, and unlike anything you do normally, and
yeah, it is a different language, that's for sure. And then we had the California High School exit exam imposed on us in 2006, and that was hard. And I just still remember many of the phone calls that I made with a lot of the students who finally passed their math, because that was the one that was the hardest. And I would get on Aries and be able to make that phone call and say, your child has passed the California High School exam, and they would be very excited. I've had students come running up to me and hugging me.
Yeah.
They passed that.
Because they passed that.
Some of them start in their sophomore year to try to pass it, and many of them will go all the way up into their March, senior year. One more attempt, one more try, and we lay it all on the line.
I'll be darned.
And many of them pass it, and that was I thought a good test, but then they eventually did away with that. And because there were still a lot of students that were not able to pass it. But when I was clearing out my classroom this last couple of weeks, I had like 2 shelves of books that I had purchased over the months or years to help students get through those Cassie, and I said, well, what do I do with these? Well, I went into the custodial cart and I put them in the dumpster because they never need to use these again.
Right. I'll be darned. Well, what a gratifying job. And so what are you going to do now after that kind of excitement?
Well, I plan on doing a lot of hiking. I enjoy doing that. Our youngest son, he's an engineer, and he took a year off last year, or not a whole year, half a year, to hike the Pacific Crest Trail.
Oh, how fun.
From Mexico to Canada. I don't plan on doing anything like that, but he's got some plans for me. And then my wife, Debbie, is involved in taking care of her father, who's 95, living in the same house that she grew up in.
Wow.
And so I can give her more time to help, because he likes to stay in that house, and I'm glad he's there, especially over this COVID crisis. I'm glad he was able to stay quarantined, and he's still very healthy. He retired from NASA many years ago. And so we'll spend more time, and we've got grandchildren in Ventura and San Diego. And if we want to go see him on Wednesday, that'll be nice, instead of coming back late Sunday night and going to work on Monday. So yeah, I got some plans, and I like to garden, and so I'll be able to spend more time doing that as well.
Sure. Well, thanks for the few minutes to tell me and my viewers what you did for 32 years here.
Thank you.
And all the kids that went away motivated, probably helped many of them in their life.
I sure hope so. I know last year my wife really wanted to retire last year, and I just wasn't in the mindset. And there's one girl that's graduating this in a few minutes, and she said, Bartell, you can't retire yet. You got to see me graduate. Well, that same thing happened with one of the girls that came in yesterday to turn in her laptop, and I said, I'm sorry, the paperwork's done. Sacramento has all my paperwork. So there's no turning back now.
It's a done deal.
It's a done deal.
Well, thank you from the community for teaching these kids.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone, all of us that are out doing other stuff, you know, we don't take the time and don't know how.
Well, it sure went by quickly.
Looking backwards.
One of my students stopped by today who has now a 20-year-old, a 14-year-old, and I think a 15-year-old. And I graduated him in independent study. And I said, it just seemed like yesterday that you graduated. And here we are. But God's been good to us, and we're got good health, and so I plan on utilizing this health to do some other things that will be very helpful.
Well, really, really good. Well, let's go down here and graduate these 20 some students and send them on their way.
This is another first. Never had a graduation like this, but
no.
I was praying that it wasn't going to be windy, because last week it was just so windy. I could just see everything blowing. But look, this is very nice.
This is
enough breeze to keep it cool.
This is perfect. Good. Thank you so much.
For these flies.
Yeah.